Genesis 31. There are gods everywhere. And one woman is about to tell the greatest lie ever. When we left off, Jacob had performed the worst science experiment in history in order to take more animals from Laban, and now Laban's sons are furious about it. Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, "Jacob has taken everything our father owned and has gained all this wealth from what belonged to our father." And Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude toward him was not what it had been. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you." You know, usually if you rip someone off, they do get upset about it. And if you take some kid's future inheritance, they're gonna come after you. But at least God is giving him good advice. You've pissed everyone off. You should leave. Haven't you read my book? Everyone is always out for revenge. Get out while you can. What do you think will happen if you stay? That I'm gonna protect you? Who am I? God? Oh, right. I like the idea that God will only be with him if he leaves. God's love is so conditional, you need GPS to locate it. Even God doesn't want to stay anywhere near Laban and his crazy reproducing daughters if he can help it. So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah to come out to the fields where his flocks were. He said to them, "I see that your father's attitude toward me is not what it was before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I've worked for your father with all my strength. Yet your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. However, God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said, 'The speckled ones will be your wages,' then all the flocks gave birth to speckled young. And if he said, 'The streaked ones will be your wages,' then all the flocks bore streaked young. So God has taken away your father's livestock and has given them to me." Laban changed his wages 10 times, and this idiot never figured out he was being screwed over. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 7 more times after that, and I just might still let it slide, but fool me 10 times, and I will finally figure out what's going on here. Why is God getting credit here? The last chapter literally spelled out the genetics project Jacob pulled off to get speckled or streaked animals. In theory, that was DNA, not GOD. But really it was neither one since the experiment made no sense. Anyway, let's hear more of Jacob's monologue, because wives love it when their husband never shuts up. In breeding season, I once had a dream in which I looked up and saw that the male goats mating with the flock were streaked, speckled, or spotted. The angel of God said to me in the dream, "Jacob." I answered, "Here I am." And he said, "Look up and see that all the male goats mating with the flock are streaked, speckled, or spotted. For I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and where you made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once and go back to your native land." I swear these people have the weirdest dreams. It's strange enough that these people think they're having conversations with God, but it's really weird how when they're retelling those stories, they include the introductions. I have never started a story and been like, "My friend said something incredible to me. She called and said hello," and I said hello. And she said, "Can you hear me?" And I'm like, "I can hear you just fine." And she says, "I have something to say." And I said, "All right." And she says, "I kidnapped a puppy." No one needed to hear the first 90% of that story. Get to the damn point, Jacob. By the way, the story he's telling his wives isn't even what happened last chapter. What happened to the experiment? He's straight up lying to them. If God is the God of Bethel, what happened to the God of Abraham or the God of Isaac? How many gods are there that we need to distinguish them by location or person? Then Rachel and Leah replied, "Do we still have any share in the inheritance of our father's estate? Does he not regard us as foreigners? Not only has he sold us, but he has used up what was paid for us. Surely all the wealth that God took away from our father belongs to us and our children, so do whatever God has told you." I like how that makes it sound like they are speaking simultaneously. But talk about a dysfunctional family. Rachel and Leah know that their father has nothing left to give them, so they might as well run off with their rich husband. They'll put the baby-making rivalry aside to go with him. They're gonna need a bigger minivan. Then Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock ahead of him, along with all the goods he had accumulated in Padan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. That's gotta be a lot of camels. Anyone want to take a guess? Anyone? How old are all these children that they can sit comfortably on a camel? My kids can't sit in a car seat for more than 10 minutes. When Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household gods. Moreover, Jacob deceived Laban the Aramean by not telling him he was running away. So he fled with all he had, crossed the Euphrates River, and headed for the hill country of Gilead. I thought that said she stole the household goods. Nope, she stole the household gods. She stole the idols that he prayed to just to make him angry. And Jacob won't even tell Laban he's leaving, because whenever they have a conversation, it results in 7 years of hard labor, a new wife, a new slave wife, and a bunch of unwanted babies. Plus, Jacob stole all the animals. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. Taking his relatives with him, he pursued Jacob for 7 days and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. Then God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream at night and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." I guess a 3-day head start didn't matter for Jacob. Laban caught up in a week. That's what happens when you travel with kids. Everything just drags. And God's talking to Laban now? Is God a double agent here? What is God even saying? Don't say anything to Jacob. Capture him and then just remain silent. Because that's not creepy at all. But Laban is going to say something. Whoops. Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead when Laban overtook him, and Laban and his relatives camped there too. Then Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You've deceived me, and you've carried off my daughters like captives in war. Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of timbrels and harps? You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You have done a foolish thing. I have the power to harm you. But last night the God of your father said to me, 'Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad.' Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's household. But why did you steal my gods?" Does anyone believe this guy? You ran away, you deceived me, you stole my daughters, and all I wanted to do was sing and play the harp for you. Sure, Laban, sure. And how would Jacob have stolen the daughters anyway? Laban gave them to him in exchange for work, just like he handed over 2 other women just for the hell of it. You can't be mad when someone takes what you're giving them. Why does Laban refer to the God of your father? Wouldn't that God be Laban's God too? That's like referring to your spouse as your first wife. Like, you didn't need to say that part, but now she's gonna have other questions. And look at Laban blaming Jacob for Rachel stealing the gods. How many idols did she take that Jacob noticed them all missing? Jacob answered Laban, "I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find anyone who has your gods, that person shall not live. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me, and if so, take it." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the gods. Holy crap! Jacob just sentenced one of his wives to death without even realizing it, all over a bunch of tiny little god statues. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the 2 female servants, but he found nothing. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them inside her camel's saddle, and was sitting on them. Laban searched through everything in the tent, but found nothing. They're playing keep away. The Bible is literally describing a game of keep away. Look at how the Bible writers are building up the tension before what I assume is a death scene. He went to wife 2, nothing. He went to slave 1, nothing. He went to slave 2, nothing. Then he went to wife 1. What's going to happen? I can't believe Rachel's only chance of avoiding death is sitting on God's face. Yup, that's a thing that is in the Bible. But now you are about to hear the greatest lie ever told. Rachel said to her father, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period." So he searched, but could not find the household gods. She avoided death by saying it's that time of the month, so don't come near me, and Laban stayed the hell away from her. The Bible actually takes this very seriously. Leviticus chapter 15 includes a section on how you cannot touch women who are on their periods. And verse 20 specifically says anything she lies on during her period will be unclean, and anything she sits on will be unclean. So sitting on something and pretending you're on your period is actually a really foolproof way to hide something. If Eve just sat on the damn piece of fruit, we wouldn't even be here right now. Jacob was angry and took Laban to task. "What is my crime?" he asked Laban. "How have I wronged you that you hunt me down? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of your relatives and mine, and let them judge between the 2 of us." I can't believe they are all fighting over a bunch of G.I. Joe figurines. But now Jacob is unleashed, and he is ready to deliver the rant of his life. "I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flocks. I did not bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself, and you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime, and the cold at night, and sleep fled from my eyes. It was like this for the 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands. And last night he rebuked you." It's the kids. The stress of having all those kids is finally catching up to him, and he's losing it. Laban answered Jacob, "The women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us." We have to talk about this. Laban gave his daughters to Jacob in exchange for labor. Rachel and Leah had a baby-making competition. The animals were the result of weird science. None of this is Laban's, not anymore, but he is claiming all of it. Still, that is toxic masculinity right there. What sort of agreement are they gonna make now? I kinda want Laban to say, fine, you can keep everything, but you're gonna have to work for me for another 20 years. Only because Jacob would be dumb enough to fall for it. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to his relatives, "Gather some stones." So they took stones and piled them in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jegar Sahadutha, and Jacob called it Gilead. What is up with Jacob and pillars? And why do their makeshift altars need different names? And why is one name so much more complicated than the other? Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today." That's why it was called Gilead. It was also called Mizpah, because he said, "May the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me." Yeah, see this pile of stones? It'll keep us honest. Look at Laban saying, "Don't take any more wives. 4 is enough. But 5? Come on now, that's excessive." Laban also said to Jacob, "Here is this heap, and here is this pillar I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness that I will not go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not go past this heap and pillar to my side to harm me. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge between us." So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country and invited his relatives to a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night there. They are both swearing oaths on a pile of crap they found lying around. And did they just mention like 3 different gods who are watching and judging them? I wonder which one did creation. For all that, a goat had to die. Because what's a promise that doesn't involve murder? Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left and returned home. You know what we haven't heard? Whether Rachel's gotten up off her saddle yet. I think the Bible has finally made it clear there is no one God. There are many gods for different people and tiny little idol gods too. And if you see a rock, that can be a god you pray to as well. If everything is a god, then nothing is a god. But here's where it gets interesting. The only reason Jacob spent the past 20 plus years with Laban is because he was running away from his hairy brother Esau, who was out for revenge. And now Jacob is returning home. Does Esau still hold a grudge? And will he try to kill him? We will find out very soon.